Hello, New World, and welcome to Jackson's lesson 2 of Programming and Teaching and Learning Experience. Today we are going to be talking about variables, operators, and operations. Mm. So first I want to speak about files. And when you think of files in programming, I was thinking of this picture. Uh, So you picture this is two folders. The picture shows two folders. What you can see, there is a paper going to one folder to another. So one folder, when it comes to programming, think of it as this is the folder where everything is written in human language, your programming language. Um, so what it does is you take your input. Uh, in human language and put it over into the computer. And in the middle here, there is a translator. It's a compiler or interpreter. We were talking about that. So it comes here over to the computer, to the binary language. So what the computer does is it handles the paper and maybe do something about it, and it sends it back to your output. So it's showing your input to the computer to your output. So it goes like this: input, output. And when, as you can see on the picture, there's two folders. In the folder, there's a paper. In that paper, there is a set of instructions. Maybe it's a paper of how to build a car. And on that paper, in the folder, it's how to build a car. And on that paper, it says what to do when you're building a car. Mm. So anyway, just remember this picture. I think it's. So I'm gonna jump to the IDE, and I'm gonna be talking about values, variables, and variable. A value, that is basically what is after. Okay, we're gonna start here. I'm gonna write here. So a variable, an integer is a variable. The name a, it takes the name a, and inside that variable, there's a value which is free. And because free is a whole number, and not a decimal number, you use an integer. Then it can hold the variable boolean, which is holds the value true or false. Then there's a variable string, which holds the value a text and multiple characters, just a text. Then there's a character, which or a char, which holds a character. And I don't assume you'll be using this much. I guess it's for older programming languages where you didn't have strings. Then there's a float, which is a number that can a float can store numbers with decimals, and it can store up to 32 bits of information. Then there's a double, which can also store numbers with decimals, but it can store up to 64 bits of information, which makes sense. That's why it's called a double. And then I want to say it's the computer perspective. Always remember, computers are dumb. You are talking to the computer. You are anyway. That is from last session. I want to correct some mistakes. So anyway, these two signs, what it means is which direction it's sending the files, and that's, remember this picture again. So is it sending it this way or this way? And this one is operators, which is just a normal math. And then there's other operators. There is plus and minus and divided, and but there are some others also. But don't think, just think about the small ones right now. Yes, and in values, it's characters, signs, and numbers. Variables is boolean, char, integer, double, and strings. And different values, types, and operators can be stored in different values. It means you can't you can't minus two strings. You can't minus text with text. Um, so anyway, I'm gonna jump to the example. So now I'm gonna going to explain mm, this little program I made. Oh, I didn't make it, but I did, but I wrote it. So uh, first there's the type of a function or the type of a variable. It's an integer because it's going to store numbers. And it's a main. This is just anyway. Um, so I'm going to explain first here. There's the std that you always have to define in a C++, or there's a command for it, but don't get used to it. Um, anyway, so that's the first. I'm going to the first is define. I do this every time. There's an output or a variable. Um, this is the direction. It's sending the files. It's sending to output. Where is it gonna send from? It's gonna send from please enter your two names and press enter. And then there's a new line, and there's a redirect end. So first the string, we're going to declare it, or define it, or name it. It's called first, and the other string is called second. We can put input in first and second, and if first equals second, it's going to output that's the same name twice. And if first bigger, smaller than second, um, it's going to output first inside alphabetically before second. And if first is smaller than second, it's going to output first after second. And you can see where it's going. It's going to the output. So what we can do now is try and debug the program. So I'm gonna try and write J and J. That's the same name twice. J and A is alphabetically after A. Is alphabetically before J. So one thing I also want to show you before we end is what